Speaking of marijuana, it looks like you're indulging a little too much in a product you say you would legalize if you become president.
Definitely. The entire world. Look at the people who took over from Mwai Kibaki besides Uhuru Kenyatta. Look at those cowboys and those mediocres and middlemen. Wanashona t-shirt ingine tunashika tumbo na simu na V8. Tunatembea hapa tukiambia watu sasa sisi ndio tunaenda kuchange your future. These thieves and crooks, my friend, let me take over the presidency and I'll teach these people how to rule this country.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
He has declared he's running for president under the party Roots Party of Kenya. He says we need to shake the tree. In his words, Professor George Wajackoyah has done everything from being homeless to digging graves to being a security guard to being an OCS.
And now he's a whole professor.
Oish, Omera.
It is not easy being a professor, Bwana.
And he seriously wants to run for president. And he says one of the things he's going to do is legalize bhang farming.
The holy herb, as it's called in some circles. The blessed tree, the tree of wisdom.
Yes. And he says official work days in Kenya would be only between Monday and Thursday. Friday being a Muslim prayer day. Saturday and Sunday, non-working days.
Wow. Then he said he introduced the death penalty for the corrupt individuals. Man, so that in the whole of Kenya will go. Our population will decrease to 90,000 people.
Professor George Wajackoyah, welcome to Hot 96.
Thank you. Man, I saw you a long time ago in Washington, D.C.
Been a minute, huh?
You are a good man.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And this, man, that beard, give me some of the fertilizers.
Yeah, talk to me nicely.
I've tried mine for 4 years. It's not even moving, my man.
Make me the minister of beauty products and health and hair wealth.
No. I just make you minister for the Bush boys. The Bushy fan club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minister for the Bushy fan club.
Yes, sir.
By the way, one of your ministers, you say as part of your manifesto, has to be of Asian origin or descent.
Definitely.
Why? And which ministry is that?
Ministry of Trade or Commerce.
Why?
Because they are contributing, when you go to industrial manufacturing in this country, 90% is pushed by and supported by the Asian community, putting food on 4.4 million Kenyan families. And when you go to infrastructure, they have done quite a lot, yet they are the forgotten sons of the soil in terms of economic development. Now, if other countries have looked at them and said, well, these are an asset for commodification, and you look at the UK today, the Secretary of State for Home Office, Ms. Patel, Asian, the Minister for Health, Asian, the Mayor of City of London, Asian, and the Chancellor of Exchequer, Asian. Now, moved across to the United States, you'll find out that the Vice President of the United States is Asian, and you cross over to Canada, the Minister for Defense, Asian. Why am I talking of this? It's because those countries have seen the stimuli, have seen the progress and the economic progression that have been committed and increased by these people. Why won't we do that? They build our railway, they put food on our people's tables, and they actually contribute to our economy. Why would we relegate them? During the Kenyatta One administration, he promoted many of them in the police service, in the health industry. He recognized the existence of the Asian contribution to this economy. Now, Asians are now caused to be people of corruption emancipation, where politicians use them during electioneering season by getting money from them and causing fear into them, and the flight of capital as a result has been very great because they fear to live here. The security is not guaranteed in terms of them being included in the system.
Okay, in addition to being president, you plan also on being the immigration minister?
Definitely,
Why?
definitely. Kenya is now being revamped and overtaken by foreigners. If you go to Kitengela alone, you'll find that the entire Kitengela population, especially those business people who are involved in small trading, are people of West African and West and Central African origin. Most of them do not have papers, but that's not the reason when it comes to Africanization policy. The issue is, what has immigration done since it was constituted? If you want to get barons of corruption and mediocres and middlemen and those who run up and down are people who have been soliciting from foreigners. It's now, Uganda now has taken over from us in terms of investment and business opportunities by foreigners who want to come and invest in this country. The rules and regulations are there. If you want to have a Class G permit and you're a foreigner, or if you want to have a Class D permit and you're a foreigner, the duration in which it takes is just everlasting. And secondly, there are those Kenyans who are born here, they have never left the country, but because of their originality, let me say Somali or Asian origin, they have not been given their citizenship. Why has it taken 50 years for Asians to be recognized as citizens of this country? And at the same time, why is it taking too long for people to be given their rights? If you apply for citizenship in the US, and Jeff will be my witness in this, or in the UK, there are procedures and timelines. If you apply for citizenship, or let me say permanent resident, they will tell you, look, if you don't hear from us for this number of days, then this is the hotline you have to call and a caseworker will be allocated to you. Here, I, being an immigration law expert, and of course writing my second PhD, which is in immigration, having two other PhD degrees apart, besides all that I have a master's degree from University of London School of Oriental and African Studies in immigration, where I've practiced also immigration for a very long time. I also have a master's degree in immigration from University of Baltimore, and I've practiced immigration law in the United States for a very, very long time. I'm a scholar in that area, and I've also worked with the refugees, and that's why I've become a kingpin in this region. You find out today that we don't have teaching of immigration law, yet immigration is very fundamental to investments and also human rights in terms of refugees. But in this country, there are no immigration courts. There's no immigration tribunals apart from those that are very scunny within the legislation, where the appointees or those appointed are appointed for political purposes. They do not know what to do. So you'll find out that a lot of foreigners are suffering in this country, and nobody has the capacity of taking care of them other than luring them in the hands of corruption. But I must also applaud Mr. Mteshi, who is the current Director General, and people like Miss Eunice Lamba. They have tried their level best, but that's not enough. Yes. So I want to take over that portfolio. I want to build it. I want to put sense in the country about the rights of immigrants, the rights of refugees, and then we can now find out what we can do with the educational curriculum.
You know, as you speak about immigration and how passionate you're about, you also say that media houses, e.g., for example, Royal Media, will be owned by journalists and not other proprietors.
Yes,
Why so?
Yes, I will make it possible for media men, because they are the fourth estate in this country and they contribute a lot to the national development in terms of dissemination of information. I'll make it possible for them to have soft loans or interest-free loans so that they can actually open up their own media houses. Because we have had media monopoly in this country, where a few families or a few business people, and I have to thank Macharia, he's at least tried to open up the eyes of the media by putting people in employment. But that's not enough. So I want media fraternity to be proud of themselves, to work, to get recognized and to invest in themselves and their families, rather than working without clarity, working at the mercy of privatization. And the rules of privatization that are actually embroiled in employing the media are not clear-cut. The salaries and remuneration of media men is just very low, and that's why you see there's a lot of corruption. Politicians are taking advantage of that and putting monies to get favor favors from the media people to cover them. You have called me here, you never even asked me for any money, and this is the kind of thing that we need to see. But if you go out there and you see the level of poverty within the media industry, we need at least to do something like what has been done in the UK, what has been done in the US, where they also work proudly, leaving their homes in the morning, going back knowing that they're going to put food on the table, be able to drive your own car, have your own equity, and improve your standard of living.
That's easier said than done. The other thing you say in your manifesto is that in the first 6 months, if elected president, you will suspend the constitution of Kenya and let Kenyans decide on the kind of constitution they want.
Yes,
what does that mean?
Yes, first of all, this issue of constitution is alien because the people who wrote or who came up with the idea were people who fought for independence in the beginning, which was a good thing. But you'll find out that when people went to Lancaster House and those kind of trips that were done with the manipulation of the British and what have you, they produced some kind of a gig for Kenyans to follow, yet they themselves do not have a written constitution. I'm going to suspend the constitution and I'll ask Kenyans to come in and now start afresh to chart their way forward. And at the same time, I'll use Parliament to be a source of continuity. But how comes that, yes, we have 3 tenets of governance. If you look at the judiciary, as I said before, it has judges, it's very well written, remunerations, and what have you. But look at what the judges are doing to this country today. Look at how cases take too long to reach their verdict. There's the Chicken Gate case, for example. The people who were involved in that case, the people who were involved in Britain, were taken to court in Britain, they were tried, they were given fair hearing, and they appealed the verdict. They were sentenced to 4 years and they finished. How many years ago? Yet in Kenya, you find out that even the president, the current president, has been unable to continue his legacy because anything he does, subject to court. The courts come in and they prolong the situation. The judges have been caught doing what they have to do. I mean, if you look at the other side of the constitution, they are not benefiting the common person. They are benefiting only whoever is there. Did they ask Kenyans to grow marijuana? Did they know that it's a product that could actually alleviate poverty from this country? Did they ask the Coastarians about their cocoa plantation? You know that cocoa or coconut is a product that has prolonged life, has been used for other medicinal purposes in the coast for a very, very long time, even during the slave trade. Did they ask lawyers about the effect of mukombera to be included?
Speaking of marijuana, it looks like you're indulging a little too much in a product you say you would legalize if you become president.
Definitely. The entire world.
Do you partake of the...
Well, I will. After legalization, I will.
But how can you talk about its benefits in the future if you're not taking
I'm
it now?
looking at the economic benefits, industrialization.
What about health?
Yeah, and healthcare as well. I mean, if you look at the world today, you look at companies in New York today, you look at South Africa, Lesotho, Uganda here, and Rwanda, as well as India. They have legalized. When I was in India for many years, I used to go to the Indian temple because I was actually a Hare Krishna priest. I speak some of the language.
I think I'm seeing you there also one time, no?
Yeah, you know, when you want to do something, you can do it very well. But let me speak to you about Lord Shiva. You find out that marijuana is used in Indian temples for medicinal purposes.
Okay.
They put it in milk, and then they do their purification of the deities. And it has been a phenomenon which has been taken along with the culture. But what I wanted here in Kenya is look at what Chinese have done in this country. And I'm very shocked to see that Ruto now has come up and said that he will export avocados to China. But I'm not here to talk about people because that's not my because it's my competitor. One of the most important and fundamental issues about marijuana is limitation of the economy. If you go to Jamaica, for example, marijuana is used as a healing of the nation. While you have constitutions here which have been baroneted to create some kind of commissions to cater for cohesion and integrity and whatever it is, marijuana is used for healing the nation in most of the West Caribbean countries. Now, let us not get carried away with the smoking aspects of it, but concentrate on the economics of it. Hemp is one of the longest fibers, strong fibers, fastest growing, and has medicinal value. It's not here by mistake. It's God-given. It's a plan that even Jesus himself did not talk anything ill about it. So it's the Quran. Even the oil that was used to anoint Jesus by that woman whom they called a prostitute was actually made out of marijuana. And if you go ahead, you'll find out that hemp is used to make a variety of commercial and industrial products, including ropes that armies use, textiles, clothing, shoes, food and insulation, bioplastics, etc., etc. Hemp can be a natural solution for soil replenishment and decontamination. Hemp grows only for 4 months and can make the best paper out of it. High quality paper. Trees grow for 20 years. If we look at what has happened in Western Province, for example, if we go to Kakamega or Mumias, where I come from, where we had the Mumias Sugar Company, we no longer need the Mumias Sugar Company. Just let us vote for this man, and after voting, I will legalize it, and then we shall replace the sugarcane, the decayed sugarcane plantations with marijuana. Now, 100 acres of marijuana grown either in Mumias or Mount Kenya or Kisii or Nyamira, and I intend to visit those areas to encourage them to vote for me, can sell off, pay off the Chinese debt. We are living as beggars. The kids who will be born tomorrow, will be born with debts. The Chinese have come in, they have revamped our economy, they have been brought through the back door, and we want to look at those contracts. The people who signed those contracts, especially the government officials who went to China and did not include Kenyans in it, according to the so-called constitution, which talks of popular participation in economic development of Kenyans, I'll want to review those contracts. And that will be my first task on the day that I'll be elected. I'll want to find out how they were signed, look into it, and apply the ethics of sovereignty. And if I find that something was wrong, I'll tell the Chinese to go home, and I will grow enough marijuana after legalization, pay them off, and then tell them to go. Because right now, you can see what they have done to the police force in this country. You get the police officers, I having been one of them, looking like the Chinese on the streets. Because the same uniform the police are wearing today is what the Chinese police wear. Who made that informed opinion without talking to the police officers who are the stakeholders, that would you like this kind of uniform? And then you can also see that during that particular time, a very vicious minister was there, and I'm not going to mention his name, coming up and saying, now the police will have this uniform and without pockets. Are they not human beings? And then you go ahead and say, this is good for you. Now look at the quality and the standards of uniform our police officers are wearing. Go to Central Police Station today. Let's finish this and walk into Central Police Station. Look at the police housing in Central Police Station. Nyazi imemea juu. Afadhali ingekuwa Bangi. It could be beneficial to the police officers. Now, look at the way things have been done. Now someone has come up and say, we need to decolonize Kenyans by teaching Mandarin. Nothing wrong with teaching a foreign language. I speak about 6 foreign languages. But have the Chinese also, in equal measure, been told to teach Swahili or Kikuyu in their universities at home? Here, Mandarin, tutafundisha Mandarin. Who informed these people that you can come in here, do the same, apply the same methodologies as the British did when they introduced English as a compulsory language, come in and say, look, the only collateral we can give you at the moment, besides our ports, is our children studying in Chinese. Then once they finish, then they go to China, get scholarships and come back. And look at the engineers, road engineers that we have in this country today. Look at Thika Road. I hope you guys drive on Thika Road. When you're driving along Thika Road, there's that bisection going towards Kiambu. And there's that one going towards Mutaiga. Now, if you overlap through Mutaiga, and you want to return to the main road, look at how that road is. Terrible. How many people have died there? Yet Kenya has got a whole battalion on engineering in the Kenyan army, which is sleeping. We have our students who go to university to study civil engineering. What was wrong with the so-called bilateral agreements under sovereignty in commingling Kenyan engineers, Kenyan student engineers, as well as our own experts, plus the the brigade, the Kenya Army brigade on engineering, to tell the Chinese that ataki barabara ende hivi inaendanga hivi. Then now you'll find out that our engineers here are the ones who chimba mtaro, and the Chinese prefect is sitting there as a supervisor who can't even speak in English. Come on, look at Zambia, they have lost the airport. Look at Sri Lanka, they have lost the airport. And actually, I'm told, and I'll find out when I become the president, about the Mombasa port. We have not been told about the collateral. Kenyans want to know about the collateral. What was given to the Chinese? We don't want to live in the land of rumors. Let us find out. I don't hate the Chinese in person, but why would they come and take over the economy and bring a lot of contrabands here? What is wrong with this government? And yet you know that those people who signed those contracts, are still alive. We know who they are, but I will hold them accountable. You find them now wanting to be presidents, flying with choppers here and there, and they're not telling us where they got the monies, other than bragging that I have the people and I have the money. For God's sake, where did you get that money from?
Where have you gotten your money from?
Jeff can be my witness. I've been in the UK where I've practiced for so many years. Apart from working as a police constable and then inspector in those years, the rest of these years I was away. I've worked as one of the fine lawyers in the UK. I have gone to the US, and for your information, I'm not bragging, but I have education to justify what I'm doing. And I also came back in this country. While I opened up my law firm, I had again to go to school. I just graduated from Nairobi in school, which was not for anything, because out of 9 law degrees, what else did I have to go to school for? But I have to justify everything because of where I come from. Chokoras are not human beings. They have to prove things twice. A policeman is not a human being. You have to prove things twice. So I've worked hard for my money. I have worked very hard. I've been a grave digger. I think you know that. I have been a security guard. I've washed dead bodies in Royal Free Hospital in London, in Camden Town. I've worked as a cleaner. I've done it all. So I've saved little monies I get, and I share it out. If you come to my law firm, I think I'm one of those people, few law firms which are not all enough in this country to sponsor some of those lawyers in my office to go to do their master's program.
Okay, so the question is, and it's a simple question, after all you've done, after all you've been through, why would anyone of your standing want to be president?
Well,
why?
Yes, that's a good question. You know, I cry every day. I cry every day when I look at the way things are. I cry every day when I see cocoons, or people who behave like cocoons, or buffoons in that case, stand up and lie to Kenyans day and night. I'll do this for you. I'll do this for you. Now, you have just seen today, I've read something with a lot of interest, where the DP comes up with the issues of wheelbarrow. Now, of course, that's good. We are going to carry ganja with those wheelbarrows. But today he has now again come up and said that, whoa, now I'm going to export avocados to China. But remember the fertilizer scandal? He's not telling us about the fertilizer scandal and the cries of the Rift Valley farmers, and to why they addressed him with the Murkomen. Let us not have joke with this country. The umbilical cord that came out with me from my mother, the pain my mother gave birth to me with, is enshrined in this country. My blood is dotted in this country. I cannot see my country bleed because I'm now in a comfort zone which is temporary. I'm going to die soon anyway. I cannot sit here and see vultures taking over the country, dividing the country the way they're dividing, making young generation lose their livelihood because we are going to do this. We have had this kind of nonsense for the last 50 years. If it was in South Africa, you know, in West Africa, you know what has been happening there. Some of the lunacies in South Africa have been disposed of with a bullet. And I can believe, I'm not saying that should happen here, but I'm giving an example as to what happened. West Africa could have been the best alternative in the world because wherever looters came in, they were shot and removed. And that's why you find countries like Ghana doing very well today in terms of democratization because of the pain that had been removed by the bullet. Look at the people who took over from Mwai Kibaki besides Uhuru Kenyatta. Look at those cowboys and those mediocres and middlemen now coming up and saying, and you find him, and I wanted just to give an example for you, but I think you're okay. Wanashona tushati ingine tunashika tumbo na simu na V8. Tunatembea hapa tukiambia watu sasa sisi ndio tunaenda kuchange your future. These thieves and crooks, my friend, let me take over the presidency and I'll teach these people how to rule this country. We need Kenyans at the common mwananchi down there to be proud of himself, to be proud of this country. I need Jeff to walk freely. Jeff is somebody I would make a minister if God gave me the opportunity, because he has done what he has done. He has been outside this country. He's worked in the international atmosphere. He knows what it takes to be a journalist. He knows what journalists go through from the international platform and local platform. This could be my minister for information, so that he can.
Endorsement in my part. But let's face it, Professor. Your chances of being president of Kenya are slim to none.
And I like it that way, because what God has is bigger than the slim. You know, the materialistic mindset will have its own agitation, but the spiritual mindset, which actually nobody can dupe in, even Prophet War cannot go in the brain of God to know exactly what God is thinking, is something else. 2 days ago, I brought up something that has taken this country into another conversation.
Yes.
And now, if that conversation can make me trend, and the younger generation who these people are trying to buy, come rainfall and sunshine, can decide. The younger generation, the marijuana generation, the generation that I want them to grow with money in their pockets by legalizing marijuana for export and medication. You never know. One day is like 100 days, and these slim chances could turn out. The only thing I pray is that Lord, those who listen to me make an informed choice. Otherwise, they are going to go back to the same people whom I call or tag as hyenas. People who do things, who shout a lot during the day, but do evil at night, and we know who they are. They are not even telling this country about the monies they have gotten. Country is in a mess, and that's why God has brought COVID to destroy some of these people. But unfortunately, even though I was a victim of COVID recently, COVID was not directed to the right thing. I'm not wishing people to die, but I'm telling you that there are some people who ought not to be alive because of the criminality aspect of looting and cleaning the assets of this country without caring for the future. And that's where I am.
Now tell me, you know, because I read your story of how as a 3-year-old your parents abandoned you, all right? Then you went to find your mother in Uganda. I'm assuming you were 3 years old when you went to Uganda.
Not really.
Okay.
It was later on.
That is just for clarification. What do you have planned for the children of this country? You know, because a lot of children go through a lot of stuff like abandonment, some are street kids, schooling, you know, so what do you have planned for kids so that their future is kind of sort of guaranteed?
When I grow enough marijuana, every kid will be happy.
What, because of the second-hand smoke, Mama?
No, I will have enough money to give them what they require.
Which is what?
Free education.
We have free education now.
Who told you it's free? Did you talk to Magoha and ask him why kids are being sent away? They say it's free on the mouth. Free, but it's not free. Ask any parent, they will tell you, look, it's not free.
Professor,
but then I also don't like the word free. What I'm saying is free for the vulnerables. If we have all the people who cannot help themselves, people with disabilities, people of certain age brackets, people of certain economic brackets, then we can actually come up with a rebate system so that we don't just have Kenya as a welfare state as these people are talking. But if you have enough marijuana to plant and export, then we shall be sleeping during the day just like what Arabs do. They have enough oil. All they do is to sleep during the day and go to the mosque on Friday and then smoke marijuana.
Yes, this marijuana thing is really, it looks like it's the core of your
But
manifesto.
you know, there's a few countries that have marijuana. Now, imagine if half the world has marijuana available. Don't you think the value will go down? So you have to have like a backup plan. What's your backup plan besides marijuana? Because there could be a storm and then the harvest is not too good.
Yeah,
what happens?
Yes, and that's...
We just listen to reggae as a country and say everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
That was my immediate concern. But I also have other areas to look at.
Okay.
I have to look at the coconut planters in Mombasa.
Yes.
To find out how we can sustain coconut growth. We have to look into privatization of agriculture so that we can have competitiveness in planning and implementing. Kenya is a vast country. If Israel can do what it has done, and it was only created in 1948 to convert the desert into an agricultural environment, why can't we do this in Northeast and what have you? And yet Kenya has got 7 beautiful climates, the most beautiful climates in the world, where you can just dump yourself in one area. Within 30 minutes, you are in another climate. We have tourism, we have fishing, we have cotton which I'm going to revive: cotton growth and plantation, sugarcane, and infrastructure in terms of looking at.
Wait a minute, you talked about mumias and sugarcane. You said you replaced that with marijuana. Now you're back to sugarcane again?
Yeah, there's sugarcane that has to be eaten. You have traditional sugarcane for local consumption. I'm not talking of commercial consumption.
Okay, and how does this all work with a 4-day working week? Because you said
Good. You know, when I say that, people thought I was a lunatic. And obviously, some degree of lunacy is in every human being. So I said, thank you. Maybe I am. If you look at the UK today, they have gone back to 4 days. But their system is different. But what I'm looking at, yes, what difference does it make between Monday and Friday, Monday and Wednesday, Monday and Thursday? None. Do you have promotion in job and stimuli to make people work hard? Now, secondly, do we take family values into consideration? And thirdly, why do we deny Muslims their rights? They're only given 1 hour to go and worship on Friday. Why can't we have that day for the worship of the Muslims? And then you have the Seventh-day Adventists. And for the first time, I'm actually recognizing Seventh-day. I'm not a Christian myself, but I will just say it for the sake of saying, let them also worship on Saturday so that they could have enough day to recoup on Friday. And then the other remaining Christian churches can worship on Sunday.
You know, that's almost half a week of people just being in church.
Yes, but you know, when you have enough money in the country, like in Arab, what time do they start working? You are in India, and you know when people wake up to go and work. People wake up at their own time, and they work in the evening. And they, because of climate, they work in certain hours. In Kenya, we can actually bring up an economic vibrant policy which will encourage privatization so that employee can come up with an arrangement. But what I'm also trying to say is this. Today, there's a lot of laziness in government employment. Somebody wakes up in the morning, and maybe this person stays in Kiambu, working in Athi River. By the time this person reaches Athi River, he's already tired. Now he reaches Athi River to report at 8 in the morning. When from 8, maybe his senses will come up after an hour. Then that notion that the white man brought in this country of tea break comes in. That's 45 minutes. Then lunchtime now, you find somebody going for lunch for 1 hour. How many hours are we talking about then? Then by the time you come in, and you know me, I come from the ugali eating community. Ugali has its own vaccine. When you eat too much during hot season, you start to become sleepy.
Yes.
If you are going to do an exam in the afternoon, please don't even try, because you will fall asleep. Now, by the time this person comes from work, time to go home is almost there. So look at those hours as compared to the Asians, who also work under the same conditions. An Asian carries his own food. Most of them, they carry their own food. They don't have lunch hour. They eat, take maybe 20 minutes break and what have you. So what I'm trying to say in short is, if we privatize our economic system, 90% privatization, then an arrangement can be made pegged on the model that we shall introduce at that particular time, and then give people some kind of freedom. A lot of people have been saying that, oh, you know what, jamaa tushatupatia kuanzia Jumatatu mpaka Thursday, Friday hiyo tunaenda kugonga ka weed. Well, that is their own, but we need actually to energize society. We are no longer living in cocoons of a white man's syndrome and a white man's timeshare and the capitalist timeshare. We can even work from home today.
Yes. Now, as a former police officer, what would you change, or what would you implement for the police? Because now that you've been one, and they are like a majority, a good number of Kenyans.
Nice, man. Nice. That one you've said the best thing, and I like the police officers who are there to listen to this, because nobody cares about the police. Number one, I'll do the Zambian way. Sata, the late Sata, who was the president of Zambia, was actually a policeman initially. He was a corporal in the police. And what he did for the Zambian police has really outranked most of the police fraternities around the world, and particularly in Africa.
Yes.
One, I'll recognize a police officer. I'll empower a police officer through job training. I'll devolutionize a police officer through state programs. And then secondly, I'll need to give them equity, so that when they leave police stations, they leave knowing where to settle their families, because you shall give them monies, interest-free loans, so that they can buy a home or a farm and settle their family, so that they can serve the nation from wherever they are. That's number one. Number two, I'll also find out a program for them. Those willing who can undertake a program within 5 years, that 5-year program will be catered for by the government. Number 3, I'll empower them. I'll empower them with the medical facilities. For example, now, a police officer who is transferred from Northeastern, or let me say Garissa, or Mandera, Elwak police station, to Nairobi, is not given time to go home and cool off in terms of health treatment, what have you. He just comes in, Central Police Station, wapi wewe, chukua fingerprint kwa maiti ni. So that psychological impact is what is making a lot of police officers to commit suicide. Nobody really cares. A policeman is just transferred poor, and there are some rules and regulations that are removed from the police to make it a market-friendly, community-friendly oriented police service. And I have to applaud Mbugua, the former inspector, the former commissioner of AP police. Mbugua would have been the best inspector general of police. And if he's still alive, and I think he is, probably I will request him from retirement to come and help me rebuild the police. You'll find out that the AP part of the police is more civilian oriented, has some kind of civility than the regular police from Kiganja. I will do them Museveni, train security guards, arm them, and let them do other jobs. A police officer is supposed to do 2 things: safeguard life and property, and himself and the nation.
We appreciate it. On August the 9th, if you wake up and you are nowhere near president, what will you do real quick?
I will accept the verdict, and I will congratulate the winner.
All right, fair enough. And happy smoking.
Yeah, and enjoy your first day of work as a minister of when you make it there.
You too, aren't you a minister for Bush?
Oh yeah, you told me I'm going to be in charge of Bush.
You've already forgotten.